Hi, my name is Emily Rhoades, and this is my project on abortion storytelling on Twitter, specifically how people who've had abortions can share their first-person narratives in a way that reduces stigma. So why is this an important topic? In the US, 1 in 4 women will receive an abortion in their lifetime, and abortion is considered essential health care by the World Health Organization. This is particularly important in this moment, as abortion access has long been protected by Roe v. Wade, and as this was recently overturned, we are expecting a rapid increase in abortion restrictions. When looking at abortion, an important thing to look at is stigma. Abortion is often considered taboo, which can make it hard for people to talk about, which leads to increases in stigma, which makes it harder to talk about and causes restrictions to increase. So what can be done? An important tool to combat stigma is storytelling. There's a lot of benefits to storytelling. It can allow people who've had abortions a space to feel heard and combat misinformation. Another component is intergroup contact theory, which states that contact between two groups, in this case, people who've had abortions and people who've not had abortions, can reduce prejudice between the two. Storytelling is often a strategy used by pro-choice organizations to reduce stigma. We chose to use Twitter. Twitter is a micro-blogging platform that is well adapted for sharing short stories. Social media like Twitter has often been used to analyze public sentiment and has been shown to be correlated to current events. What we did is we collected tweets from Twitter using TweetPy, a Python package, and the Twitter API. We excluded repeats and quotes and collected tweets from June 10th, 2015, when Trump launched his campaign, to July 1st, 2022, shortly after the release of the Supreme Court decision overturning Roe v. Wade. We looked for tweets containing specific hashtags and phrases. We initially pulled 4,108 tweets, but after cleaning them and sorting through them by hand, we retained 1,783 first-person abortion narratives. We analyzed this using Bader sentiment analysis, which ranks each tweet from -1 being the most negative to 1 being the most positive, with -0.5 to 0.5 being considered neutral. Bader sentiment ranks tweets only on the sentiment of the language, not on the sentiment of the story being conveyed. So it can't determine a person's attitude towards their abortion or abortion in general, only the type of language they use to convey their story. One major finding that we had was that tweets do vary over time and correspond to specific events. In September 2015, 2 abortion restrictions were on the Senate calendar. In May 2019, Alabama passed an extensive abortion ban. In May 2022, the Supreme Court leaked their Roe v. Wade decision. And in June 2022, the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. An important thing to note here is that activity spikes rapidly and then decreases, meaning that activism is not sustained. If people want their abortion stories to have the most impact towards sustained activism, then they should consider sharing their stories proactively rather than reactively. We looked at the compound stigma, the compound sentiment score to see if there was any correlation between the sentiment in a tweet and the type of response it received. We did not find any correlation between the compound sentiment score and the number of likes, retweets, replies, or quotes that a tweet received. We also did not find that sentiment changed over time. We looked to see if there was any correlation between the sentiment of an original tweet and the sentiment of the comments that that tweet received, but we did not find any such relationship. Future work could be looking at statistical tests on the results that we found to see if there's any correlations that we couldn't see. Tweets could also be analyzed for emotion. Social media beyond Twitter could be considered. Tweets could be analyzed for specific components of stigma, and tweets could be hand-coded to see if any further patterns emerge. The takeaways from this project is that tweets are correlated to real-world events, and people should consider sharing at times when there aren't events that would prompt them to share. And we found that there is not a correlation between tweets and the response that they receive, and the sentiment of tweets and the sentiment of the comments. So here's my email address, as I put earlier, if you need to contact me. Working with me on this project was my research partner, Michaela Krawczyk, and our mentors, Katie Seek and Anne Kavalerchik. This research was funded by the National Science Foundation. Thank you.